Question number 1 asks us to find the mean absolute deviation of a data. To find the mean absolute deviation, the first step is to find the mean of the given data. If we find the mean of this data, we will get 66. The next step is finding the absolute deviation or the positive difference of each data point from 66. The difference of each data point is written underneath, and then we will average these given data points to find the mean absolute deviation. Averaging these numbers, we get 9.2 as the mean so the correct answer is A. Second question asks us also to find the mean absolute deviation, but the data is given on a dot plot, so we will list the data points first. Then we will find the mean or the average of these numbers. Averaging these 7 numbers, we get the mean as 125. Let's write down the differences of each number from the mean. Now we will find the mean absolute deviation by averaging these numbers. Averaging these numbers, we get the mean absolute deviation as 42.85. Rounding it to the nearest whole number, we will get 43, which gives us the correct answer. Question number 3. Which relationship is suggested by the scatter plot below? When we look at this scatter plot, it looks like we can draw a trend line going down, the best fitting line. It should be a straight line that's representing the line. Sometimes it can be a curve, but on this one we see that we have a negative association, which means that if the vehicle weight is increasing, then the gas mileage should be going down. The answer choice that gives us that is B. Question number 4. The scatter plot below shows the dress sizes and retail costs from a local department store. Which best describes the trend shown in the scatter plot? As you see on this scatter plot, the points are all scattered through evenly so that we cannot draw a trend line. So I would say the answer would be no trend line. However, there's no answer choice like that. The closest answer to no association is nonlinear trend. Question number 5. Which of the following does the diagram below illustrate? This shape is a model of the Pythagorean theorem. Similar figures that has the edges of a right triangle have some areas where the smaller areas would add up to the big area. On these small squares, the areas are like 6 by 6 square, so that's gonna be a 36, and an 8 by 8 square, the area is a 64, and I have a 10 by 10 square which has a side length of the hypotenuse of this triangle having an area of 100. As you see, 64 plus 36 is 100. So the answer choice that gives us this is going to be D. Question number 6. Mr. Brooks wants to know the height of a pole in his yard. He knows that he can use the Pythagorean theorem, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared, which drawing below represents a model he could use to find the height of the pole. In this question, the correct answer should be a right triangle, where the legs of the right triangle are A and B, and the hypotenuse of the triangle is C. However, we are not given such an answer choice, but the answer choice that has C associated with the hypotenuse is only A. Question number 7. The distance the spring stretches varies directly as the force applied. If a force of 140 newtons stretches the spring 4 centimeters, how much will a force of 350 newtons stretch the same spring? In a direct variation, the constant of proportionality remains the same, so K equals Y over X. Let's say the force is the input and the stretching length is the output. So the ratio of 4 centimeters to 140 newtons will remain the same for the second situation. So it's going to be equal to x centimeters over 350 newtons. Cross multiplying, we get 10 centimeters. So the correct answer is H. Question 8 is also a direct variation problem. So the constant of proportionality will remain the same for both cases. If it takes Josh to solve math problems 3 minutes, so how many problems can he solve in 24 minutes is our question. So cross multiplying, we will get the answer. 40 problems, so the correct answer is B. Next question. Jamal wants to model a dilation of a rectangle using a scale factor of half. He folds a piece of paper down the middle as shown in the diagram. Is Jamal's model correct? Explain. When Jamal folds this paper, he will make the figure have half the width of what it was before. However, as you see, the height of the figure doesn't change. In a dilation, all the dimensions should be multiplied by the scale factor, given in this question, half. So the height also needed to be half of the original figure. However, Jamal didn't fold the paper in the middle to form a half height. That's why Jamal's model is wrong and our answer is B. Question number 10. How many 6-inch cookies would equal the same area as one 12-inch cookie? So we are going to compare the areas here, but instead we can think about these two figures as dilations of each other with a scale factor of 2. As you see, the second circle, like the bigger one, is 2 times the original one. So when we dilate figures, we multiply each dimension or length by a scale factor of k. In this case, like the scale factor is going to be 2. So in that case, the area is going to be multiplied by the square of the scale factor. So we multiply it by 2 squared by 4. So we'll have 4 of these small areas into the big one. Question number 11. Wei has already saved $1,220 for college. She expects the total cost for her first year to be $9,850 and she expects to receive grants and scholarships that total $2,120. How much money should Wei save each week in order to have enough money in 2 years to pay for the first year of college? So here we are trying to find our weekly savings. So let's find out how much Wei needs to save. Subtracting the money she already saved and the money that she's going to receive, we get $6,510 to be saved. So she needs to save that in 2 years. In 2 years' time, we have 104 weeks. So if we divide 6,510 by this amount, we will get our weekly savings as $62.60. So our correct answer is A. Question number 12 is also about college savings. Let's find out how much Jacob needs to save for college by subtracting the money he already saved and the scholarships that he's going to receive from the total money he will need for the first year. So he will need to save $6,695. Since he will save $210 every month, to find the number of months that he needs to save, we are going to divide the $6,695 by the amount that he will save every month. By dividing, we got about 32 months. So the correct answer is B. Question number 13. Two expressions are shown below. For which value of x will the two expressions have the same value? To find out which x value gives us the same expression, we will write down an equation that makes these two expressions equal to each other. We can easily solve this equation by plugging it into our calculator by using the mSolve function on our TI Inspire. We will go to Menu, Algebra, and Numerical Solve, and write down our equation with a comma x afterwards. And our calculator gives us 37.5. So the correct answer is D. Question number 14 asks about Kaylee's age, which will be represented by the variable x. 1/3 Kaylee's age, which we don't know, so we will just put a variable x, increased by, so we are just gonna add 12, is equal to twice her age, so 2 times her age, decreased by 3, so subtract 3. To solve for this equation, we will just put it in our mSolve function on our Inspire calculator. So again, we will go to Menu, Algebra, and Numerical Solve, and we will write down our equation, which gives us 9 as the age of Kaylee. So C is our answer. Question number 15. Which model represents the solution of v equals 4? The first step is we will write down the equations of these answer choices, and we will plug them in our calculator to solve for v. Let's plug the first equation into our calculator to see if we will get a solution of v equals 4. So the first equation gives us negative 1.3, not 4. So let's plug in the second equation. Second choice gives us 4 as the solution, which is the correct answer. So the correct answer is G. Question number 16. How do the returns for simple interest and compound interest compare for the same principal and interest rate? Let's analyze this question. If we have $100 of investment for the first 3 years, what is the amount of return that we will have for simple and compound interest? Let's say the interest rate is 1%. The simple interest gives us $1 for each year that we invested the $100. So year 1 we will have $101, year 2 we'll add one more dollar and $102, year 3 $103. However, in the compound interest, at the end of 1 year it will give us 1%, so we'll have $101. And the second year, since we have more money now in the bank, like since we have $101, we will get $1.01 as the 1% of $101. So we will have $102.01. So we will have 1 cent more than the simple interest. The compound interest will give us $1.02 in the third year. So we will have $103.03 in the third year. So as you see, like the first year are going to be the same for both simple and compound interest, but for the following years we will have higher amounts for the compound interest. The correct answer that gives us that is J. Question 17 asks us about a comparison of Deborah investing in simple or compound interest. In 10 years, Deborah will have $900 interest accumulated in her bank account. So the total amount of money that she will have will be $900 plus the initial investment $2,250 will be $3,150 at the end of 10 years if she has simple interest. If she uses compound interest, then we will find the total money that accumulates in her bank account by using the formula A equals P times 1 plus R to the power of T, to the power of years, which will give us $3,330.55. So the difference of two amounts will be $180.55. So the correct answer is D. Question number 18. Scott is planning to invest $750 in a saving account for 5 years. Account A pays 3% simple interest, account B pays 3% interest compounded annually, which is a true statement about the accounts. So as we see, like account B gives compound interest, so we are expecting more return than the simple interest, because usually compound interest gives us more interest than simple interest. A, it says at the end of 5 years, Scott would have more money in account A, so which is wrong, because account B should give us more money. On B, it says account B earns the same amount of money the same amount of interest every year. This happens when the account has simple interest, and account B we have compound interest, so this is not true either. On C, it says account A earns $22.50 in interest every year. Let's calculate the interest that we will get on account A. Since this is simple interest, we will use the formula I equals PRT. So if we plug in $750 as the principal, the rate is going to be 0.03 and the number of years is 5. The total interest that will accumulate in account A will be $112.50. Dividing this amount by 5 will give us $22.50 every year, so C is correct. Which rule represents the dilation of a figure by a scale factor of 5 that is centered at the origin? So the rule for the dilation is the scale factor times x and the scale factor times y. So since we multiply all the dimensions in this question by a scale factor of 5, then we will have xy becoming 5x and 5y. So correct answer is B. Question number 20 also asks about an algebraic rule for the transformation shown in the figure. On this transformation, as you see, the size of the shape changes, so that we know that it's going to be a dilation. And the original figure is the ABCD, rectangle ABCD, and the image is shown by the little lines on the letters, which is called A prime, B prime, C prime, and D prime. So I will pick 2 points on the grid here, which can be the point D, where the coordinate is 8,2, and the coordinate D prime, which is going to be the image of this figure, so it is 4,1. As you see, each coordinate here becomes half of what it was. When writing the algebraic rule, I will always start with an xy, and it will become since each coordinate is half of what it was, each coordinate is multiplied by a half, so x becomes half of x and y becomes half of what it was. So the correct answer that gives us that is B. On question 21, also the size of the shape is changing, so I know that this transformation is a dilation. I will just choose a point from the original figure, which is K, and this point is on the grid and its image is on the grid, that's why I'm choosing this point, and the coordinate is 2,2 and it becomes 3,3. So 2,2 becomes 3,3. So the scale factor is image over original, On question number 22, the company ReadyPost charges $4 for the first pound and 25 cents for each additional pound. So we will start off with $4 for this company, and we will be paying 0.25 per additional pound, we can say. So we'll multiply it by the number of pounds. However, we already paid for the first pound. We paid $4 here, so we are not going to pay for the first pound. So I'm gonna take away the first pound from the number of pounds. Likewise, in the express mail, it will charge like $6 for the first pound plus, and the rate is $0.15 for the additional pound. So I'll not multiply it by X, I'll just multiply it by X minus 1 because I paid already for the first pound. Which inequality shows the weighs X in pounds of the packages that would be more expensive for the mail through ReadyPost? So the first value to be more expensive, so greater than the second value. So the correct answer that gives me that is A. Question number 23. A tank contains 340 liters of water when it begins to leak. So the water is going to be going down at the rate of 6 liters per minute into an empty container. Which equation shows the number of minutes, X, it will take for the tank and the container to have the same amount of water. So the amount of water we will have in the tank can be represented by the expression. So it starts with 340, and then we are going to take away 6 each minute. So the number of minutes is X here. So I'm gonna multiply -6 by the number of minutes here. So that's the amount of water that will be contained in the tank. However, in the container, we start with a 0, and we are going to be adding each minute as 6. So that's the amount of money, that's the amount of water in the container. So we want these amounts to be the same, so we'll set them equal to each other. So the correct answer that gives us that is H. However, if you are thinking about, okay, 340, so half of 340 is like 170, and that should be the amount of water in the tank. Also, that could have been a correct answer as well. On question 24, since the two triangles here, XYZ and ABC, have the exact same angles, these are similar figures. So let's analyze which answer choice is false here. The first one tells us XY to AB ratio. So XY to AB ratio is equal to YZ, the last two letters here, to BC. So that will be correct. Second one tells us that XY, the first two letters, to XZ, first and third letter, ratio is going to be equal to AB, the first two letters, to AC, first and third letter. So it's following the same pattern, so this ratio also is true. On C we have XY, the first two letters, to YZ ratio, the second and third letter ratio, is going to be AB, first two, to BC, second and third. So that follows the same pattern as well, so that's also true. On D we have XY, first two letters, to BC. We are going to the other figure, but we are having second and third letters here instead of first and second, so that is not going to be correct. So the correct answer is D. Question number 25. Which proportion must be true if the trapezoids in the figure are similar? Looking at all the answer choices, we have X and Y's on almost all of them. So looking at Y, that corresponds to 12 on the bigger trapezoids. So the ratio of Y to 12, the small trapezoid to the big one, is going to be equal to, so let's look at X here, the height of this trapezoid. I mean, like the longest side of the trapezoid, and that corresponds to 8 here. I'm writing the ratio small to big, so that's going to be equal to the small trapezoids corresponding length 8 to x. So that ratio is, that proportion is given correctly on C in reverse order. So our answer is C. Question 26 asks us about the volume of a sphere. So the volume of the sphere formula is V equals 4 over 3 pi r cubed. The radius in our figure is half of 12, which is 6 inches. So plugging these values in, we will get about 904 cubic inches. So the correct answer is C. On question 27, we are given a 2/3 full cone. So the volume of the cone formula, 1/3 of the base area, which is a circle's area, times the height, which is indeed 1/3 times pi r squared times 8. So let's use this formula to get the volume of the cone. So the volume of the cone is 153.86. But the volume of the sand that we have in is 2/3 of this amount, which is 102.57 cubic centimeters. So the correct answer that we will pick is F. Question number 28 asks us to find the perimeter of this rectangle. To find the perimeter of the rectangle, first we need to find the short side y and the long side x. To do that, we will draw right triangles on this grid, so we can know the legs of this right triangle. So we can write down an equation for the Pythagorean theorem to find the hypotenuse x and the hypotenuse y on this triangle. So since the longest side is x on this red triangle, my equation will turn out to be x squared. Since x is long side, it will be alone on one side of the equation, equals 5 squared plus 6 squared. And the equation for the green one is going to be, because the longest side is y, it's going to be alone on one side of the equation, y squared equals 3 squared plus 4 squared. Entering these equations to our calculator in the end-solve function, we get 5 and 7.8 for x and y. We have 2 5s and 2 7.8 in the rectangle, so the perimeter is going to be the sum of all sides. And that's going to be about 25.6. I'll just choose my answer as C. Question number 29. What is the distance between the 2 points on the coordinate plane? Well, the distance between these 2 points is a straight line between these 2 points. To find the length on this grid, I'm going to draw a right triangle. And I'm going to count the number of units here for these legs. I have 6 units and 8 units for the legs of this right triangle, and the distance that I'm looking for, which is going to be x, is going to be the hypotenuse. So writing this equation for this right triangle, the longest side is x, so x squared is going to be equal to 6 squared plus x squared, 8 squared. Solving for x, I get 10 as the distance between the 2 points. So the correct answer is going to be question number 30. A triangular prism is shown below. What is the lateral surface area of this prism? The lateral surface area is S equals PH, where P is the perimeter of the base and H is the height. Perimeter of the base is the sum of the sides of the perimeter, 7 plus 7 plus 8, which is 22 meters. And the height is given as 12 meters. Substituting this in our equation, we will get 264 meters squared. So the correct answer is B. Question number 31 asks us about the surface area of a cylinder. The total surface area of a cylinder S can be found by applying the formula 2 pi rh plus 2 pi r squared. The radius in this problem is 20 and the height is given as 50. Substituting these numbers, we will get 8,792 for the total surface area. So the correct answer is D. Question number 32 is asking us to find the surface area of a rectangular prism. The total surface area of a prism is found by the formula S equals pH plus 2b, where P is the perimeter of the base, which is 7 plus 7 plus 8 plus 8, 30 centimeters in our case. If we choose the bases as the top and bottom faces, H stands for the height of the tubular box, so that's going to be 6 centimeters. And B stands for the area for the base. Substituting all these numbers in and solving out in our calculator, we will get 292 centimeters. So the correct answer is B. Question number 33 asks us to find the number of people for the scatter plot for 2 hours. And 2 hours is not given on our graph, but the longest it goes is like 100 minutes, and 2 hours is 120 minutes. So 110 and 120 minutes. Find the answer for this question. We will be drawing a line that represents our point here. And drawing such a line, we will see that for 60 minutes, it's gonna be like roughly 900. Number of people. So for 120 minutes in 2 hours, this will be twice of this value, and so I will put my answer as C. The numbers are proportional because this is a proportional relationship, and the graph looks like it's passing through the origin. Question 34 asks us the number of cookies for 75 minutes. So 75 minutes is going to be like on my x-axis. So sometimes on the STAAR, the values on the y-axis are given and the x-axis are, so be careful about this. So going to 75 minutes, which is right in the middle of 60 and 90, I will get a value for the number of cookies by eyeballing between 40 and 50. So 40 and 50, the correct answer should be G. Question number 35. In this question, we're asked to find a side length of a right triangle. On this triangle, 11 is the longest side, it's the hypotenuse here. So it's going to be alone on one side of the equation and the other two sides added together. Squares of these sides needs to be added together. Writing this equation in the initial function and solving it, we get x equals 5.55. So x is going to be approximately equal to 6 centimeters. So we will choose answer D. Question 36 asks us to find the unknown length D on this right triangle. On this right triangle, 10 is the longest side. So writing our equation for the Pythagorean theorem, we will have 10 squared equals D squared plus 3 squared. The longest side, hypotenuse 10, is going to be alone, as you see on this equation. Solving this equation, we will get 9.54 for D. The closest answer to that is 9.5 feet. Question number 37. In order for three sides to form a right triangle, it needs to satisfy the Pythagorean theorem. Let's write down the Pythagorean theorem for each of these answers. The longest sides will be the hypotenuse, so they will be alone on one side of the equation. Let's check all these answer choices one by one. On A, we will get equal numbers on both sides of the equation. But on B, we will get different numbers on both sides of the equation. So the equation on B will not satisfy the Pythagorean theorem, hence it's not gonna form a right triangle. Question number 38. Which student reported reading a proportionally increasing number of books for 5 consecutive weeks? In a proportional relationship, the ratio of y to x remains constant. If the number of weeks are our x's and the number of books is our y's, the outputs for Noah are 1, 2, 3, 5 and 8. Let's see which one is gonna give us a proportional relationship. In other words, in which name we will have the y over x ratio remaining always the same. The y over x ratios are for Noah 1 over 1 is 1, 2 over 2 is 1, 3 over 3 is 1, 5 over 4 is not 1, it's 5 over 4, so it's not proportional relationship because we didn't get the exact same ratio all along. For Otis, we will have 2 over 1, 2, 4 over 2, 2, 6 over 3, 2, 8 over 4, 2, and 10 over 5, 2. So the y over x ratio was same all along, so it was 2. So for Otis, we got proportional relationship. So the correct answer is C. The equation for proportional relationship is in the form of y equals kx. So we shouldn't have a y-intercept, or in other words, like the y-intercept is a 0. So we shouldn't have a constant that's gonna be added on an equation. So I need to have this 15 cancelled with a 15 on the other side. So I need to have another 15 on this side. So if I take away 15 from both sides, then my equation will turn out to be y equals 6x, and it will be a proportional relationship, so m needs to be 15. Out of the 4 transformations we have learned, reflection, rotation, and translation will create congruent figures to the original figure. So everything about these shapes will be the same after we reflect, rotate, or translate. The size is going to be kept the same. However, when we dilate, we will either stretch or reduce the original figure, so the size is going to be changing. So we will not have a congruent figure to the original figure, so our answer is D. Question number 41. We are asked to find a transformation that does not preserve congruence. So in order to have such a transformation, I need to have dilate. And on a dilation, our coordinates x and y needs to be multiplied by a scale factor that's different than 1 or negative 1. The only answer choice that our coordinates are multiplied by a factor other than 1 or negative 1 is given on C, and the scale factor is 2 there. Question number 42. In order for a relationship to be a function, each input needs to have exactly one output. And the first set is our sets of inputs. As you see in the first mapping diagram, each input is mapped to only one output. So that is a function. On the second one, 1 has 3 outputs and 5 has 3 outputs. So that's not exactly 1, so that's not a function. And on the third one also, each input is mapped to only one output. So that is also a function. So 1 and 3 only should be the correct choice. Question number 43. Which of the following does not represent a function? If you look at A table is given to us and none of the x's are repeated, so each x maps to only one output, has exactly one output, so this is a function. On B, each input has exactly one output, so that is also a function. And on C, we have a graph, and on this one, if we draw vertical lines, we will see that it will sometimes hit the graph at 2 points. So that means for these inputs, we will have two outputs, so it's not a function, so our correct answer is C. On D, we are given some points and none of the x coordinates are repeated, so each input has exactly one output, it means, so it is also a function. Question number 44 asks us to find an algebraic rule for a reflection over the y-axis. If we are reflecting over the y-axis, then the sign of the x-coordinate is going to change. So we will have xy mapped to opposite of x comma y. The correct answer is given on D. On question 45, a transformation is graphed. When we look at this graph first, we may think that this is a reflection over the y-axis. However, when we look closely, the point S and its image S prime, we understand that there is a rotation here instead of a reflection. And this is 90 degrees clockwise rotation. When we have a 90-degree rotation, our initial points xy will be mapping through yx, like we need to switch the coordinates of y and x, and since it's clockwise, also the x coordinate is gonna change sign. When it is clockwise, the x coordinate is going to change sign. When it is counterclockwise, the y coordinate is gonna change sign. The correct algebraic representation given on D. Question number 46. Which of the following one is false according to the figure? Let's look at A. Angles 1 and 4 are supplementary. If you look at angle 1 and 4, they add up to 180 degrees. They are a linear pair and they are indeed supplementary, and it is true. The sum of the measure of angles 4, 5 and 11. If you look at 4, 5 and 11, which is the vertical angle to 10, so 10 and 11 are same. And if you look at 4, 5 and 10, they are the inner angles of a triangle, and they indeed add up to 180 degrees, and it is correct. Angles 10 and 1 are congruent. We don't have any evidence for that. They look like they're alternate interior angles, but the lines are not parallel to each other, so this is not going to be accurate. But let's check with answer choice D. 5 and 7 are congruent. 5 and 7 are vertical angles and they are indeed congruent, so that is also true. So our correct answer is C. Question number 47. If you look at these angles, x and 1, they are forming a linear pair, so I can easily say that angle 1 and angle x are supplementary and they are adding up to 180 degrees. One other thing that I will notice about the angle 2, 3 and x is they are the interior angles of a triangle and they will add up 180 degrees. So as you see, if you add angle x and 1 or angle x and 2 and 3, they will give you 180 degrees. So the circled angles should be equal to each other. The measure of angle 1 is equal to the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3, and this is given on answer choice D. The graph on the question 48 is a lines graph, and this line is passing through the y-axis at point 2. So the y-intercept here is 2. To find the slope of this line, since this line is going down, I know that the slope is going to be negative. I need to be picking 2 points on the line and on the grid as well, so I can just count how many units down and over I will move. So I need to move here 2 units down and 3 units over. So our rise is, since I'm moving down, -2, and our run is, since we are moving 3 units over, is 3. So the slope is going to be rise over run, which is -2 over 3. The answer choice that gives us the correct y-intercept and slope is C. The slope of a line can be found by using the 2 points on the line by using the formula m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I need 2 points here to come up with the slope. On this table we are given 5 points. Let's pick any 2 points since we don't like negative numbers that much. So I will be picking the last 2 points. You can be picking any 2 points here. And to evaluate the slope, I'm just going to use the difference of the y coordinates, 12 minus 9 over 3 minus 1. So that's going to give me +3 over 2. So J will be my answer that gives this correctly. An electrician charges $45 per hour. When it says per hour or for each hour, I am going to be multiplying this 45 by the number of hours. So the number of hours given in this problem is H, so 45 times H. And a fixed charge of $30, so this is gonna be paid only once. So the total cost of this electrician is going to be C equals 45H plus 30. So the correct answer is B. 4 points on a line is given on a table. So we are supposed to find the equation of this line in the slope-intercept form. When I look at my graph, the first thing that I see is the y-intercept. The y-intercept is a point when the x-coordinate is 0. So I'm given such a point, so I don't need to even find the y-intercept. I know that it's going to be a 1. I will be writing the equation of this line in the y equals mx plus b form. So b is gonna be a 1. So let's find the slope m here. I can use the point 0, 1 because they're positive and small numbers, so I will use another point. Let's pick 2 and 7, and I will be applying the formula m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's going to be equal to the difference of the y coordinates, 7 minus 1, over the difference of the x coordinates in the same order, 2 minus 0, will give me 6 over 2, which is equal to 3. So the equation I will have is y equals m3 times x plus b, which is 1. So the correct answer is given on D. In order to order these numbers from least to greatest, please convert all these numbers to decimal form. Let's type all these numbers to our TI STAAR and come up with the decimal forms of these numbers. The first number, 8.6, is already given in the decimal form. So writing these down carefully, right next to them in decimal form, I can easily now order them from least to greatest. The least number is square root of 63. Then I have 8.6 to be the next number. Then I will have 5 root 3, and then pi root 10 is the largest one. So the correct answer choice that gives these answers in the same order is B. Question number 53. To list these numbers from greatest to least, I am going to convert them to decimal form as well. I see some percentages here. You must know that percent is per 100, or a fraction with a denominator of 100. So let's convert these by using our TI STAAR to decimal form. To convert a percentage to decimal form, let's say 13%, all you gotta do is write the 13% in fraction form, 13 over 100, and we gotta convert it to decimal form, so we will go to menu, number, and convert to decimal. So it will give us the decimal form of the answer, and it's going to be 0.13. Finding all the decimal equivalents, now I can easily order from greatest to least. As you see, rent is the greatest one here, so I'm going to have rent first, and then the next one is going to be 0.27, which is car, and then next one is going to be utilities and food, and the least one is going to be other. So the correct order is given in the answer choice G. Question number 54. A certain cookie recipe calls for 3 cups of flour to make 1 batch of cookies. So let's look at our graph. Which graph gives us the exact same numbers? For 1 batch of cookies, as you see, the batches are given on the y-axis. I'll have 3 cups of flour, which is correct on A. So A is going to be our answer. On question 55, the line is going down, so we'll have a negative slope. And when I look at the y-intercept, it looks like it's an 8, but I need to be careful about thousands of dollars. So these y coordinates are real numbers from 1000 to 10,000. So my y-intercept is actually 8,000 in this question. If we pick 2 points on the grid and move down and right to get another point on the grid, on the line, I can write down my rise over run ratio. The rise here is going to be negative 1000 and run is going to be 2. So the slope is going to be rise over run, negative 1000 over 2, which is equal to negative 500. So our equation should be y equals mx plus b, negative 500 times x plus 8000. The answer choice that gives this correctly is B. In order to plot square root of 68 on a number line, first we will convert it to decimal form. Typing this number on our TI Inspire, we will get that this number is close to 8.25. The point on the number line that is closest to 8.25 is R. Question number 57. If you look at the graph, the amount of money that Billy and Johnny will earn mowing lawns is given to us. And we have a point of intersection. This point of intersection means for 4 hours of working, Billy and Johnny will get the same amount of $20. This is given in the answer choice C. Question number 53 asks us about an example that gives us a proportional relationship. We know that the proportional relationships will have an equation in the form of y equals kx. Let's write down the equations that we will have for each of the situation here. On A, we have Wes is making an online purchase. He pays $3 per item, so I need to multiply the 3 by the number of items, let's say it's X, plus $5 for shipping. So this is not proportional relationship because we have a plus 5. Wendy's cell phone plan is $20 a month plus $0.1 per minute. So it's going to be 20 plus $0.1 per minute. So the number times the number of minutes. As you see, we have a 20 here that's added, so that's not in the form of y equals kx. Kristen is buying lunch meat from her local deli. It is $4.95 per pound. So I'm going to multiply 4.95 by the number of pounds. As you see, this is in the form of y equals kx, so this is a proportional relationship, so C is the correct answer. On question 59, we are trying to write a proportion that we will find the slope by using these slope triangles, which are similar here on this figure. So let's find out the slope on these triangles. If I'm using the triangle ABC, if I go from point A to C, then I need to go 2 units up and 1 unit right. So I will have the ratio of rise over run AB over BC as 2 over 1, which gives me the slope as 2. If I use the triangle ADF, I need to go from A to point F by moving 4 units up and 2 units right. So the slope is going to be AD over DF, which is going to be 4 units up and 2 units right, and it's going to give me the same slope. So the ratio of AB to BC is going to be equal to AD over DF, and they both give me the same exact slope because they're similar triangles of 2. The answer choice that gives me this proportion correctly is A. The last question asks us about the volume of a cylinder. The volume formula for a cylinder is base area, which is a circle's area, pi r squared, times the height. Substituting the given radius as x squared times the height, which is given as 2x, I will get the volume as pi x squared times 2x, which is given on A. Good luck on your STAAR test.